The planet Zorith was a world of perpetual twilight, its skies painted in hues of deep violet and amber. The air was thick with the scent of exotic flora, and the ground shimmered with bioluminescent moss. It was a place of beauty, but also of mystery, a world where humanity had never set foot. Until now, Captain Elias Grant had been the sole survivor of the starship Etherian, which had crash-landed on Zorith after a catastrophic engine failure. He had wandered for days, surviving on ration packs and the occasional alien fruit he dared to eat. The planet was eerily silent, save for the occasional rustle of unseen creatures in the dense, crystalline forests. But as he ventured deeper into the heart of Zorith, he began to notice signs of civilization. Carved stone pathways, intricate statues, and the faint hum of energy in the air. One evening, as the twin moons of Zorith rose above the horizon, Elias stumbled upon a settlement. It was a village unlike anything he had ever seen. The structures were made of smooth, iridescent stone, and the streets were lined with glowing orbs that pulsed with a soft, golden light. But what struck him most were the inhabitants. They were women, tall, graceful, and strikingly beautiful. Their skin shimmered with a faint, opalescent sheen, and their eyes glowed with an otherworldly light. They moved with an elegance that seemed almost ethereal, and their voices, when they spoke, were like music. But there was something else about them, something that sent a shiver down Elias's spine. They were all women. Not a single man was among them. Elias hid behind a crystalline tree, watching as the women gathered in the center of the village. They were performing some kind of ritual, their voices rising in a haunting melody that echoed through the twilight. He couldn't understand their language, but the intensity of their emotions was palpable. There was a longing in their song, a deep, aching desire that seemed to permeate the very air. As the ritual reached its crescendo, one of the women, a tall, regal figure with flowing silver hair, stepped forward and raised her hands to the sky. The others fell silent, their eyes fixed on her with a mixture of reverence and hope. She spoke a few words, her voice trembling with emotion, and then the ritual ended. The women dispersed, their faces etched with a sadness that Elias couldn't quite comprehend. He waited until the village was quiet before making his move. He needed to find out more about these women, about this planet. But as he crept through the shadows, he was suddenly surrounded. The women had been waiting for him, their glowing eyes fixed on him with a mixture of curiosity and something else, something primal. The silver-haired woman stepped forward, her gaze piercing. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice accented but clear. Elias was stunned. She spoke English, or at least something close to it. "My name is Elias Grant," he said, raising his hands in a gesture of peace. "I'm from Earth. My ship crashed, and I've been trying to survive. I mean no harm." The woman studied him for a moment, her expression unreadable. Then she nodded. "I am Lyra, the matriarch of this tribe. You're the first man to set foot on Zorith in generations. Come, we have much to discuss." Elias was taken to a large, domed structure at the center of the village. Inside, the walls were adorned with intricate carvings and glowing symbols. Lyra led him to a chamber filled with soft, cushioned seats and offered him a drink, a sweet, fragrant liquid that warmed him from the inside out. As they sat, Lyra explained the history of her people. Zorith had once been a thriving world, home to both men and women. But centuries ago, a great plague had swept through the planet, wiping out nearly all of the male population. The few who survived were unable to father children, and over time, the men of Zorith had died out, leaving behind a society of women. "We have tried everything to preserve our species," Lyra said, her voice heavy with sorrow. We have used technology, genetic manipulation, even ancient rituals. But nothing has worked. Our population is dwindling, and without men, we cannot continue. You're the first man we have seen in over 100 years. Elias was stunned. He had stumbled upon a dying civilization, one that saw him as their last hope. But he was just one man. How could he possibly save an entire species? Lyra seemed to sense his thoughts. "We do not expect you to solve all our problems," she said gently. "But your presence here gives us hope. Perhaps, with your help, we can find a way to survive." Over the next few weeks, Elias became a part of the tribe. He learned their customs, their language, and their history. He was treated with reverence, almost like a god. But he quickly grew close to the women, especially Lyra. She was strong, intelligent, and compassionate, and Elias found himself drawn to her in a way he hadn't expected. But as the days passed, Elias began to notice something strange. The women were becoming more attentive. They would linger near him, their eyes filled with a hunger that made him uneasy. At first, he thought it was just curiosity, but then he realized the truth. They saw him as their only chance to reproduce, to continue their species. One night, Lyra came to him. Her expression was conflicted, her eyes filled with both desire and guilt. "Elias," she said softly, "we need you. Our people are dying, and you are our only hope. But I cannot ask this of you. It is not fair." Elias understood. He had known this moment would come, but he hadn't been prepared for the weight of it. He cared for these women, for Lyra, but the thought of being used, of being reduced to nothing more than a means to an end, filled him with dread. But as he looked into Lyra's eyes, he saw the desperation, the fear of extinction, and he realized that he couldn't turn away. He had been given a chance to save an entire civilization, and he couldn't let them down. "I'll do it," he said, his voice steady. "But on one condition. I want to be more than just a tool. I want to be a part of this tribe, a part of your lives. I want to help you rebuild, to find a way to survive that doesn't rely on me alone." Lyra's eyes filled with tears, and she nodded. "You have my word," she said. "You're not just a means to an end, Elias. You are one of us now." The days that followed were a blur. Elias was taken to a special chamber, where the tribe's scientists, brilliant women who had spent their lives studying genetics, worked tirelessly to find a solution. Using Elias's DNA, they were able to create embryos that could be implanted in the women, ensuring the survival of their species. But Elias's role didn't end there. He worked alongside the women, helping to rebuild their society, to find new ways to thrive on Zorith. He became a leader, a teacher, and a friend. And as the years passed, the tribe grew stronger, their future no longer in doubt. Elias and Lyra grew closer, their bond deepening into something more. They became partners in every sense of the word, ruling the tribe together and raising a new generation of Zorathians. And though Elias knew he would never see Earth again, he had found a new home, a new purpose. As he stood on the edge of the village, watching the twin moons rise over the horizon, Elias felt a sense of peace. He had been lost, but he had found his place in the universe. And in saving the women of Zorith, he had saved himself.